Living their lives, we just living their lives. Parking plots, living their lives, we just living their life.
Here we are, Mr. Sako.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, you too. So
it.
Here we are, part 2 of my popular video about WrapMaster, which is one of my favorite restaurants in Chiang Mai. Top 3 favorite restaurants.
Appreciate it.
And so if you haven't seen that, he is the founder of the franchise of WrapMaster here in Chiang Mai. It was started as a food truck serving the best burritos in Chiang Mai, literally right across the street here in Nomads. We're at Yesterday Cafe right now. Check them out. And I loved him. Everyone loved him. And he is an investor, an entrepreneur. He went to the owner of the food truck, said, I want to turn this into a franchise. That was 4 years ago. They got into Maya Mall within a few months. Within a few months.
2-3 months.
And now that's super successful location in Maya Mall. And now you recently opened up a location in Phuket.
Yes.
And now they're serving burritos and wraps.
They are.
Wow, amazing. So quick, his backstory: he is a serial entrepreneur, creative guy, super smart guy. He has several companies that he's running. He's got a biotech startup right now that's fully operational. It's a probiotic milk product that helps livestock release less methane and CO2 in their wastes.
Yeah.
And so pigs in Spain are using this product now.
Yes.
And going successfully. So that's
fully tested, fully licensed, fully certified. It's been on the market for many years, but it never broke out of Armenia.
Wow. Okay.
Because the scientists who developed it, they're geniuses, but they're not genius businessmen.
Mm-hmm.
So I got very lucky to have the opportunity to work with them and help them out.
Wow.
And that's kind of my mission. Is I just want to be able to find really talented people and help them achieve their full potential. The way we did with WrapMaster. I feel like Mirai is the next WrapMaster story.
Right. So he's got his biotech company. So I think of you as like a big tech Silicon Valley guy, even though you've never lived in San Francisco.
Never.
You're you from Florida and Texas, I guess. But
a few years out there, yeah. But I'm originally from Armenia.
Okay, so Armenia, and your last name was, how do you say it?
Buniatyan.
Buniatyan. He just told me that Nyan means son of, which is why a lot of Armenian names end in Yan. Shout out to one of my best friends, Nikki Manugian. We pronounce it Manugian. Manugian. One of my best friends, Armenian family. Love. Hopefully, actually, Nikki is going to visit us in Bangkok.
Has she been to Chiang Mai?
For Songkran.
She's been here?
Yeah, he has not been here, but he's invited for Songkran. I'm hoping to get him and the homie group out here.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be super great. Anyways, you're a big vision guy, and I ran into you at WrapMaster.
That's crazy how we run into each other at the
like,
beginning of everything we're starting.
You don't go there like every day, do you? Like
on and off. But I live nearby.
Okay.
I just want to be closer to the team whenever they need me.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think I was not expecting to run into you. I know you're in Bali.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. He thought I was in Bali still. Like I said, I ran into him probably at the food truck, and we did the video, and I interviewed the founder of Golf, the Thai guy, and you guys partnered in the franchise. Yeah. Anyway, we just had a big, long conversation at dinner, and I was like, let's put this on wax, because he brings up a good point about the nomad community, and in particular, maybe Chiang Mai. He's like, people are not thinking big enough, You're a big picture guy. You wanna always have that project and those ideas that you're going to have that big impact.
Yeah.
And so it's a good reminder to myself as well, and also you guys that are entrepreneurial and ambitious and adventurous. Don't be afraid to think big, even if you're just starting your entrepreneurial journey, and even if you're still in a job phase. You don't start thinking big. Don't be afraid to have these dreams of changing the world and have these big ideas. And I'll let you go off on that, but yeah, guys, here's my message. Is he's reminding me that I need to keep these big, change the world, have positive impact on people, ideas, have that vision, and even though you don't know what that idea might be, just don't be afraid to have that purpose and that vision and that feeling in your heart that one day I want to make a huge impact on the world. And so I got to remind myself that too. And all you he's like, all you drop shippers and like Amazon guys, it's like, okay, cool. In 20 years, like that's not going to be, that's going to be whatever. You need to have these big picture ideas. And so you are now the founder of Meraki Ventures, which is a startup that helps facilitate and invest in high impact startups and projects in Thailand and all around the world.
Yes.
So that was my summary, I guess. But what's Meraki Ventures all about, and talk about a little bit. Expand on what I just said, of what you've noticed your entrepreneurial journey. If people need to think bigger and don't be afraid to do that and stop thinking so small, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.
So what's crazy is, I don't know if you remember, but this was actually where that previous video we did started at yesterday as well, at this cafe.
Wow.
So we're back where we started.
Chiang
so
Mai.
That's great.
Things
but
happen.
I think every person has a particular vision, a particular talent, something that only they can do. And I think it's their job in life to find that thing. And unfortunately, the education system we have, the kind of society we live in today, does everything in its power to bring that down, to beat that out of you. So it's like, you're going to do one of whatever options that we feel is the best. You can be a designer, you could be a coder, you could be Amazon, dropshipper, you could whatever. But these are the things that are acceptable. And if you do anything aside from that, you're crazy.
Yeah.
And if that's the definition, then I'm not crazy, I'm insane.
Yeah.
Because like I don't look at things that way. I see it more as, these are all opportunities for me to discover what I can do. And what I've always realized is that, my family has been moving around so much, Riley. I haven't had a chance to live in boundaries because I've been crossing boundaries all my life.
Yeah.
It comes with the territory.
Yep.
And I think everything I've been able to do so far in the last few years is because I was in environments where it was open season, where you weren't held back. It wasn't too expensive. You had these options, right? If I was in Silicon Valley, I don't think I would do what I'm doing today. I think I would probably end up using my talents to, work at Apple or work somewhere else, which is great opportunities as well. But I wouldn't be able to think the way I think and live on the edge the way I do, right? So what I'm thinking is, with Meraki Ventures, what I've been trying to set up is like an environment where really talented, crazy people who would normally not get institutional money, who don't know how to do business plans, but they have this vision for something that is just unique, that is one of a kind. My message is like, fuck number one, be the only one. If you're competing, then you're basically just trying to build a better car, right? If everyone's building a car, go build a plane. It's not that hard. And just remember that everything you see today at some point was considered impossible. A. Two, was built by people who had no fucking clue what they're doing, right? They found people, they were inspired by people in their ecosystem, like I am by you and so many other people. Like, we're always learning from each other. That's the beauty of this ecosystem. It's not like there's this person and then there's all of us. It's always like an equal playing field. And what I want to do is I want to find those crazy motherfuckers and bring them in one ecosystem and say, I'm going to give you all the resources you need to reach that potential. Like, you don't have to be the best accountant. I'll introduce you to the best accountant that can help you. You might be the best designer but not be the best coder. Great, I'll find you the great coder. And we can bring all these people under one roof and say, cross-pollinate. Go crazy. Like, so when someone says, well, like, Sako, what are you doing? I'm like, okay, there's these companies, but I'm in charge of Meraki Ventures. And when we hire people, we don't say you're working at WrapMaster or you're working at Mirai or you're working somewhere else. We're saying you're working at Meraki Ventures, which means you work for all the companies. So at any given time, you could be working on a biotech company, an AI company, a food company, and a toothbrush company, like all at once. So the amount of experience you're going to be exposed to, the amount of people you'll be exposed to, you normally would not get exposed to them. If you're saying I'm working at a tech company, then you're a coder or you're a designer. For the next 5 years, that's primarily what you're going to be exposed to. But what if you're in an environment where the dynamics are changing every month? Like, here's a new company. Here's this new person that just joined us from another culture that we've never even heard of. Like, you can barely find Armenia on the map right now.
I actually didn't know where it was until I found a guy on Fiverr that
there
is,
you go.
as we speak, making a product video for us.
There it is.
Yeah.
What's his name? Shout out.
It's like Julian something. I don't know. Shout out.
There's a Jan in it. We're sure of that.
Julian, yeah. Munugyan, Julian, Manusan.
Yeah. So I think your environment shapes you. You are a product of your environment. So I want to go into a country, go into a city like Thailand, like Chiang Mai, and create that environment and say, let's go take a resort. Like, that's what we're doing. We're not.
Yeah, he showed me pictures. He's thinking of leasing this resort 20 minutes outside of Chiang Mai and turning it into a dream park, a kind of accelerator startup hub thing.
Yeah, and the concept is creators can come there, stay there as long as they need to. It's 24 hours. It's open. You can either work for Meraki Ventures, or as I like to say, with Meraki Ventures. No one works for us. This for us mentality is just nonsense. Like, we're all helping each other at the end of the day. Like, why is anyone working for you? I don't get that, This corporate structure needs to break down. I think it already is, especially with the remote culture that's happening now with Tim Ferriss and the lean movement and all this kind of stuff. In a few years, people won't understand the concept of I work for this company. That's already breaking down, which is really inspiring. So I was looking at some options, and just randomly I just typed in resort. Let's see what's available. And then apparently it turns out a lot of these investors, like millionaire investors, came to Chiang Mai and they started investing in these huge properties, and they start putting price tags like $500 a night or something. And I'm just like, who the fuck comes to Chiang Mai and spends $500 a night? Like, even if you were the biggest baller ever, like, you just don't need to. It's so affordable. That's just, unnecessary. That's wasteful. Yeah. And no one ended up staying at these places unless, you were hosting a conference or something like that. So I talked to these guys and I said, listen, what if I took it over and instead of a hotel or a resort, what if I turned it into like a Disneyland for entrepreneurs? And they're like, holy shit, why didn't we think of that? I was like, because you're not thinking. Because you're just going with what's everyone else doing? Let me do it 10% better. What we were talking about earlier was like that being allergic to this 10% culture. That's what I call it. It's like, I'm 10% better. I have this, someone else is doing Instagram. I'm going to do 10% better by adding 2 more filters. That's my unique proposition. I'm but what if Instagram adds those 2 filters and 500 more and then just crushes you? Yeah. What happens then, right? And that's when they say, look, a lot of startups are failing. I'm like, no. Startups are not failing. Copycats are failing. Yeah. Most of the startups coming out today are just a little better than the others. Got it, yeah. And I hate that. Which is why, like, I've had people approach me and say, Sako, could you, what do you think of this idea or that idea? I'm like, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, you don't have that X factor, if you will, that thing where it's like, you know what? If Google wanted to come after me, they'd have a hard fucking time. Yeah, right. Where it's like, it's hard for Uber or Facebook or Google to just update and just destroy you. Yeah, destroy you. Like Snapchat. Facebook built Snapchat in 8 days. Right. 8 days. They built a clone. What was it called? It was like a... I forget what it was, but it was such a weird app as well. They just built it and just launched it immediately. Oh, well, I'm thinking about how Instagram/Facebook copied Snapchat stories. Oh yeah, that took me and millions away from Snapchat. It did. It did. Did you hear Kylie Jenner just did the thing where she said, I'm bored of Snapchat, and then the valuation of Snapchat went down by like 1.5 billion or something. Oh, like recently? Just like 2 days ago. Oh, really? Yeah, that's the Kylie Jenner factor. That is dangerous. Wow. Yeah, which is why Snapchat is kind of now pivoting to be more of it like a camera, drone, VR company. I don't even know what it is. Like, I haven't logged in for ages. Yeah, me either. I started my vlogging career on Snapchat daily in Chiang Mai my first year, and then I graduated to YouTube after that. But it's these disrupting ideas. And so, like, I was telling you, I was like, because the people that watch my channel, they're like, trying just to start their entrepreneurial journey because they're looking into digital nomad lifestyle. And I was telling you, I was like, let's say most people watching me, they already have a job, they're in job phase, and they're trying to get to that full-time independent phase. And I was like, you can't quit your job right away based off of your big picture idea, huge vision thing. That's why, because you're like, people just want the easiest way to make money. I'm like, but that's because people just want the quickest way to leave their job, which is very understandable. And then I was like, that's okay, but to your point,
on the side, in the back of your brain, we have plenty of time to think. Let's not neglect those big ideas in our brain as well, because long term, we're all going to want to be involved in these big, high impact projects because
it's getting easier and easier to do. One day you wake up like, why am I doing drop shipping when I can literally build Mirai? You know, like, or I can build WrapMaster, which only costs us like 10 grand to set up.
Yeah, crazy.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
People are spending 20, 30 grand on setting up a podcast or setting up blog or setting up, you know, creating a website when we just launched a franchise.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you in Phuket, like our rent for that space is only like $100 a month.
Yeah.
You know, like, this idea that I have to spend so much money to reach my goal is nonsense. You have no excuse anymore.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah. It's the connecting, the hubs, the Facebook. I say that all the time. There's no excuses, guys, to not be independent and do your things. But, you know, this is a great balance for me because I have the beginner's course on here are the top online business models that you can do.
Pick one.
To pick one to leave your job and start making an online income. I also need to get a little bit more balance and say, be creative in your own ideas too. These aren't just, it's not just
don't do it because Riley told you to do it.
Yeah.
Or like because, you know, this person that like Sako told you to do it. No, I think you could take even the most saturated idea and make it absolutely unique. A good example would be like you can make a stool, anyone's built a chair, but then someone created an Erman Miller chair. You know, you would not compare that, you know, to a regular product. So I think it's not really what you're doing, but how you're doing it. And now with everything becoming easier and easier, whether it's building a website or just building an app or a product, right? Using tools like Webflow or using Bubble or whatever, you know, these different products, or Clutch, which is another really incredible platform that's coming out soon.
Wow.
And these tools just make it so that you can create something without even understanding code.
Yeah.
And so now the barrier to entry is zero.
Yeah.
Now it's just like you're holding yourself back. The industry has nothing to say to you, right? But the flip side is that because it's so easy, it really boils down to your creativity now.
Yeah. It's like what can you paint? The canvas is open. So I guess, guys, you know, be open to your own creative ideas to make money. It's not just like the top 10, you know, in my beginner's course are the only ways. I guess don't be afraid to think out of the box.
Yes.
Saying this to myself, you know, as far as businesses, don't be afraid to think big, to think about the end goal in mind, which is to make the world a better place, to help people, all that stuff. Don't be afraid to think big, darling. Anyways, as we just said, let's do a section about this question I haven't asked you yet. You're talking about this Webflow tool and that other one you mentioned. If someone wanted to learn digital skills, what would those digital skills be right now? What would you recommend to like a high schooler to learn digital skills?
Webflow, and Webflow.
Okay, what is Webflow? Because I've never heard of it before today.
Yeah, so Webflow, I think, brilliant tool and horrible marketing. Like, they need to market themselves a lot better. Shout out to Vlad and the team.
Okay.
I love what they're doing, but I think they themselves are starting to discover what's possible with their own platform, because they started out in 2013, 2014. You know, they started out in the website builder category, but now they've excelled so far that now it's more than a website builder. Now you could build, you know, pretty much anything. And like, to demonstrate, last month I launched the complete prototype of the PlayStation. I rebuilt the PlayStation in Webflow.
The PlayStation,
the actual interface,
physical thing,
the actual
the UI,
the whole UI of the PlayStation, and fully interactive. It was so realistic, hyper realistic, that people actually came out to me and said, "Could you put a disclaimer saying that this was a prototype and it's not the real thing?"
Oh, so you can build not only the frame, but it's the UI,
the full thing, full interactivity. You could build e-commerce, you could do blogging, you could do CMSs, you could do app building. There's all kinds of shit you could do with Webflow now.
Wow!
And now they're going, you know, gradually expanding into applications and all this other kind of stuff. And they're not the only tool in the market, but they are definitely the leaders of what, you know, they call the no-code movement.
Yeah.
Right? So with Webflow, like, the reason I say that's kind of like the Swiss Army knife of internet tools, because if you have that in your back pocket, you could serve so many types of clients. It's not just websites. You could be helping people create blogs, podcasts, You could help them set up live streaming. You could have them set up like complete, like the prototyping arena is huge. You know, like I've had clients in the past, you know, pay me like say $20,000-$30,000 to basically build just a prototype of their software before they engineer it.
I see.
Which saves you so much money.
Before they custom code it and everything.
Before anything
they just want
else.
like a prototype. Got it.
But when I say prototype, I'm not referring to like an InVision or like a, you know, a sketch mock-up. I'm referring to like it literally is the app. My definition is it is a photorealistic, hyper-realistic manifestation of the product before it's engineered.
Right. And then once they get that, then they custom code it so they technically own the code and everything.
Yes.
Got it.
But here's the thing. You can actually export all of your code in clean HTML, CSS, and JavaScript from Webflow. It is code. It's not a prototype.
I see.
So even that PlayStation thing I built, it's not technically a prototype. I could add custom code and connect all the pieces and turn that into a whole software suite.
Wow.
So right now I'm actually rebuilding the Mac OS in Webflow.
As a project case study.
As a case study,
Wow, okay. Yeah.
So I think that Webflow is definitely one of those tools that if you have that skill, that's going to be something long-term that can serve you in many industries, many verticals you go into, because you can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And very fast. Like I'm doing a masterclass on Saturday.
I was going to say,
That where I'm actually rebuilding masterclass.com in Webflow in like 2 hours.
I see.
The whole website with the videos.
You're gonna live stream it, how you're doing it?
I'm live streaming on YouTube.
Yeah, okay.
So you can just go to my channel, Sarkis Buniatyan.
Okay, so
Sako.
link will be below so you can watch that.
And I'm trying to prove to people that just move away from this landing page culture. You know, like stop trying to just do this basic WordPress template or whatever. Like you can go so much further, right? I think when it comes to the Nomad community, since we touched on that a little bit, I want to kind of wrap up that side of the discussion on this point.
Yeah, sure.
Coming to Chiang Mai or going to Bali or going wherever, you know, traveling, getting your backpack and saying, I want to discover myself and I want to discover what I'm good at and whatever is great. But you have to have something in your back pocket so that worst case scenario, you have a skill that is going to serve you well on your journey. Okay? I compare that to going on a mountain climbing trip with no safety gear. You got to have that safety gear. You got to have something in your back pocket that says, oh, if a mountain lion comes after me, you know, I know how to, you know, deal with this.
Yeah.
But a lot of people come out here and they get really inspired by Riley or me or Goff or whoever, a few other, you know, amazing people in this community. And they just have no idea what they're getting themselves into. Like I always say, like it's easy to get on top. It's hard to stay there, right? You could start something really cool in Chiang Mai, but then keeping that going, dealing with the visas, dealing with the community, understanding like how to do live streams, you know, getting your product where it needs to be is the hard part. So when people say, I just want to quit my job and whatever, do you realize that whatever you do is also a job? Meraki Ventures is a job, but it's a job I fucking love doing.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So it never feels like a job. It feels like it's a hobby for me at this point. Where, you know, people say, well, what is it that Sako does? Is he a designer? Is he a web developer? Is he what? I'm like, guys, those are my skill sets. Don't define me by my skill set. Don't, like, just because someone does WordPress doesn't mean they're a WordPress template builder, you know? You are what you believe you are. So when Riley is doing these podcasts, he's not like, hey, I'm Riley, I'm a podcast man. You know? He has a bigger vision for where this is going, and he's inspiring so many other people who I know have come here and mentioned, like, hey, do you know Riley? I'm like, yeah, I know Riley, you know? So, like, that's what I'm trying to say is, I think with Chiang Mai, early on, like in the last decade, this is a whole new decade. That's what people don't get.
Crazy.
Like 2020 is a new beginning.
It's a new era of the
Completely.
of the planet, the universe.
Yeah, and I can actually see, like in the last 2 months alone, how many things have already started shifting around us. You know, I really feel the scale shifting because we've been in this industry for so long that now even something moves slightly out of place, we already get the feeling. We get the spidey sense.
Yeah.
So what I'm feeling here in Chiang Mai right now is that last decade, we were able to see all the possibilities. We can do drop shipping, we can do design, we can do development, we can do all these kind of things. We could do, you know, Instagram and Wix and all this kind of cool stuff. Now we need to grow up and say, okay, here's how we use these tools. Here's how they all come together for a higher purpose. Not, you know, this, I'm living in Chiang Mai and I'm just gonna make $300 a month and whatever. That is over. First of all, Chiang Mai is not gonna be that cheap anymore. It is getting more expensive. Okay, Yesterday Cafe did not cost as much 2 years ago as it does now.
Yeah, it's growing
right?
up. Chiang Mai's growing up.
It's growing up. And we want it to grow up.
Yeah.
I don't want it to always feel like a goddamn village.
Yeah,
you know?
it's evolved. Everything evolves, you know?
So I think that we have to evolve along with Chiang Mai. And the reason I think that's important, the reason why I'm here instead of Armenia or in the States or wherever, is because I have complete creative freedom. I could come here, set up a small investment, for example, and it's an open ecosystem. It's an open canvas of where I can take it. Because everybody else is going this way. I can go that way, and no one's going to stop me. Yeah. But if you try to build a restaurant business, for example, in San Francisco, you're not spending $10,000, man. $10,000 doesn't even get you out of the door, you know? Like, so I think that freedom is what really upsets me, is that people take that for granted. They don't get that, Jesus, I would have to pay $4,000 in San Francisco just for my fucking apartment. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to worry about that here. So really appreciate what that fucking means. That you can wake up in the morning, have a fucking coconut, and think about the future. People don't get how easy that is now. They think that, but what does Riley mean by, think about, in the back of my head? But here's the thing, in Chiang Mai, it doesn't have to be in the back of your head.
Yeah.
It can be in the front of your mind every day, because you don't have to spend 90% of your time thinking about taxes, and then, thinking about Trump and thinking about all the problems around you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can just think about me and where I want to go. And I think George Harrison put it best. He's like, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So it's like, hey, what do you want to do? If you're just going to be like, I saw Riley and I flew to Chiang Mai, Riley is not saying that. That is a dumb thing to do. Don't do that. Look at what Riley just said. Maybe if you're inspired by what I'm saying, look at what Sako's saying and think, okay, what is like one of a kind? What does that mean? Like to do something one of a kind, right? Not just I'm 10% better than everyone around me. If you can find that vision that only you're good at, not because your school taught you or because I heard my uncle told me Photoshop is a good tool, so I'm going to learn that. I hear that all the time. I'm asking them, why do you do this? It's because someone told me or someone suggested to me. I'm like, no, you don't realize. They didn't suggest it to you. They put you on the wrong path. I think that even if you do what you're meant to do, if you didn't make that decision, if you didn't sit down and actually think about it, they didn't do you any favors. They should, if they really care about what you're doing and they want to help you, what they should say is, here's what I did. Here's how I did it. Now, can you tell me why you want to do it? Now let's talk about podcasts. Let's talk about these opportunities. Let's look at that top 10 list and be like, okay, I want to understand Riley, or I want to understand Sako, and be like, how would this adapt to what he's doing? How does this marketing strategy apply to him? This cookie cutter approach of, I was in the Chiang Mai Digital Nomads group and I saw someone post this link about advertising online or whatever, now I'm going to do it too, is nonsense. That shit has to stop immediately. And I think that it is up to us as entrepreneurs to set that path. And just a quick point about that as well. Not everyone is a fucking entrepreneur. Stop it. Everyone and their dog is an entrepreneur at this point. What does that word even mean? To me, an entrepreneur is someone who creates something valuable and meaningful that extends to more than them and theirs. That's an entrepreneur. A businessman is, hey, I put up a cafe, I'm selling coffee to people, I make my money, I go home. That's a businessman. Most of these businesses are businesses. That's it. Got it. And I think the big difference is an entrepreneur is someone who will bleed for what they want to do. I don't think, you got to like over 50,000 subscribers. Congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you.
It wasn't easy getting there. I think that during that journey, there were so many times where we thought, oh, no one saw my video, it didn't get enough views. Ain't that a bitch? It's like, you're like, hey, I thought you would have loved this or whatever. And then now you got to a point where it's like, wow, like people know me. They feel my content. They see where I'm going with this, right? So it takes a lot of perseverance. See, a businessman would look at it and say, okay, I did 100 videos. How many do you have right now, by the way?
Over 600.
Jesus Christ. Like, imagine, like, okay, the guy would do like 50 videos and I'd be like, okay, what is the return on investment? What's the turnaround? Yeah. And then just quit. And now I'm in the ebook business. Now I'm in this other business. Yeah. I have friends that I get mad at all the time because they have changed their idea like 55 times in the last 2 years, where it's like, okay, what are you doing? Yeah. And like, oh, I heard Tim Ferriss. I'm like, listen, Tim Ferriss is great, but he never said change your idea 55 times. And I feel like this being so impressionable
Yeah.
where anyone can just deviate your direction, is not helping you. That is breaking you down. That is turning you into a fucking zombie. Okay? Use what people are telling you to find your passion. Everything can help you. Everything. Like Webflow was something I discovered a few years ago, but I crafted my own path where it's like now I'm doing master classes, now I'm doing this and whatever. And even in the community, like the type of projects I do, if you go to my showcase, if you go to webflow.com/Sarkis, Sarkis, that's my full name, Sako is my short name.
Okay.
If you go there, you'll see that in my showcase, it's not landing pages. It's nothing typical that you would normally see in Webflow. It's always something unique. It's always like, oh, he did this game. I built one of the first games in Webflow, an actual full-blown game.
Wow. Yeah.
And I wanted to just demonstrate. And people are like, oh, how long did it take you? I'm like, it took me 1 day. They're like, what? I'm building my website for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I say like vision is everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Meraki Ventures that's why I feel like I can set an example in this region, not just in Chiang Mai, but just say like, guys, you could be a kid from Armenia who dropped out at 9th grade. You know, I never went to college. I went to university. I dropped out of high school. And I went into what I love. I was like, this is what I need to do. I know my path. I know where I need to go. And I went for it. And now I'm here, right? I'm doing what I love. No one, pushed me, no one whatever, but I kept asking questions.
Yeah, yeah.
I talk to you, I talk to the community all the time. I'm like, guys, what do you think of this idea? What do you think about that?
Yeah.
In the end, though, it's me that makes the decision and says, you know what? I want to do this thing that I know sounds super fucking crazy right now, but I know 2 years later they'll understand. Right? So it's like, the easiest way to do this is to ask yourself, would I do this for the next 10 years? That's the easiest way to think about it, because it is very hard to do something for 10 years. But time flies so fast, especially now with the technology we have, that WrapMaster, it's hard for me to imagine that it's been 4 years already. Like, it just flew by, man. Like, I don't even know what happened. So let's not take that for granted, right? And also what I want to do is I want to be able to demonstrate that you could literally, you don't have to be from Harvard. You don't have to be whatever. And I tell people all the time, like I was at a conference, I was on stage and I told them at a keynote, I said, guys, I don't have an MBA. I'm not a Harvard alum. I'm not this, I'm not that. You know what I am? I'm the most resilient motherfucker you've ever met in your life. That's what I am. That's my resume right there.
Fuck yeah.
And the only thing I even publish is I don't do publishing like clients I worked with. I only publish companies I've created. I don't want to be known for I did this, I also built this straw, I also did whatever. I want to be like, I want you to know me by the impact I create.
Fuck yeah.
That's it. And here's the thing. I know people who have created a sugarcane straw. He didn't create it because he was like, I want to make money. He was like, I know there's a much better way to do this. And now that's become a multi-million-dollar idea now.
Awesome.
But it just shows you that a fucking straw, bro.
Disruption.
That's it. And it cost him nothing to do it. That's what's crazy, is that people think it's always money. I think money is the last thing you should fucking think about. Because if you have a $1 billion idea, you won't even know how to get there. A lot of these, obstacles you won't even notice in the beginning. But if you can be brave enough to say, I want to go there. No one stands at the bottom of Mount Everest and says, I'm right there right now. You're going to be fucking terrified. There's going to be mist. You won't even know how far you need to go. But the guy, if you at least are confident enough for the first couple of steps to say, you know what, I want to jump there, I want to go there, you're going to get there. And in terms of like how I approach Meraki Ventures itself, in India there is this school for stone crafting, masonry. When you're very young, you go to this school. This is like the Harvard of masonry. And the way it works is when you first sign up as a kid, you can't go there like when you're 15 or 20 or something. You're very, very young, 5-6 years old. They give you a large piece of marble and they say, this is your exam. There is no other examinations. It's just gonna be one exam. What is it? You have to turn this rock into your Mona Lisa. And you have 10 years to do it.
Oh shit.
So that's your whole education. It is a really high-end school.
Wow.
And so you go for the next 10 years building and building and building, and imagine like what these people create, right? Imagine if you thought about something for 10 years, what that would turn into. You know what their final exam is? They need to take a small hammer and chisel in front of the whole community and break it down.
Make it
Literally,
fun.
no, destroy it.
Oh, destroy it.
And there are videos and pictures of this, of these people just wailing.
Because they took 10 years to do it.
Yes, because they put everything they had into it. And the point of that is you will become an artist when you understand that your work is never greater than you. Never. This is why, like, I don't ever be like, you know, like when people say, what's your resume and can you give me like some examples of your work? You know, I never do that. I say, give me 10 minutes with you.
Yeah. Who are you?
Tell me what you want to do, and I'm going to show you how much I know. And if you see my potential and my experience, you understand where I'm coming from, we'll work together. If not, Dribbble is at your disposal.
Yeah.
You know, Upwork and Fiverr and whatever you want to do is at your disposal. And that's how I secure the best clients in the world.
Wow.
Because I don't ever show them. And they said, well, why, Sako? Is it a problem? What do you have to hide from us? I'm like, I'm not hiding anything. I want you to know me by what I'm doing now. Yeah. Right now I'm doing WrapMaster. Right now I'm doing this and this other thing. That's what I am. Not 5 years ago I did this thing. You know, why are you judging me based on something I did then? Maybe I'm a totally different person now.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like you are dictating your path. You are choosing whether you're an artist or you're just a piece of marble. Where I did this one thing back then and that's it. I'm only known. Like Mark Zuckerberg got this question asked him. Like, if you weren't doing Facebook, what would you do? He's like, I don't think I would be doing anything else. Like, I think this is the best thing I came up with. He is a block of marble.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't get that the person who created that could also create this. Right? So I want people to realize that we are coming into the age of creativity now. Not the age of tools. Tools are going to recede into the background. Technology is going invisible now.
Yeah.
Because they're so easy now. It's like no one's going to be, like, think about the lift or the airplane or whatever. Are you mesmerized when you get into a plane? Yeah. Riley's on a plane every other week. You know what I'm saying? Like, but think about 100 years ago. First plane or whatever. You're like, oh my God, this is incredible, right? Yeah. So I feel like we're at that point where the internet and all these tools are becoming so mature now that we're not really inspired by this anymore. In fact, we take it for granted now. You know?
Yeah.
One example would be like these live stream services. I remember 10, 20 years ago, there was an article where they wrote and said, I can only imagine when people can live stream and they can, like, what would they do with it? They didn't realize that people would just be twerking.
Yeah.
In every video. It's like, that's why I don't use Periscope and all this stuff. Every other video is a girl twerking in her bedroom. Like, this is just fucking ridiculous now. So what I like to talk about real quick is, you mentioned Mirai.
Yeah.
You mentioned
Mirai was
the Dream Park.
The biotech company.
Yes.
Yeah, the pigs helping the,
That's something very inspiring to me. First with Dream Park, I'm thinking of like actually turning that into a franchise. Where you could have different dream parks in different countries. Yeah. So these are not just like resorts necessarily. They could be even a building in the city, but it's more about like an unusual environment, a creative space for your mind, right? So if I can find these places and I can rent them out or lease them out, I think that would be a really crazy environment for people to create. Not just like a co-working space or a cafe, right? So that's where Dream Park comes in. Cool. WrapMaster is already like one of the first companies under Meraki Ventures, so I'm very excited about that.
Okay.
And with Mirai, what happened was we have a family friend. His name is Alexander Selimian, again with the Yans.
Selimian, Armenia. Yeah. Shout out Armenia.
There you go. And you've noticed every Armenian is just weird. Right?
My best friend, Nicky Manoogian, he's a weird. We all love him, but yeah, everyone.
But he's Armenian and weird.
Unique in their own way, yeah.
Politically correct answer.
Yeah.
But so first of all, when he pitched me, I realized how little I know about the planet I live on. And he gave me a full picture. He's like, basically, Sako, if we don't change industrial agriculture in the next few years, we are all fucked. I said, well, why? He's like, because industrial agriculture is the largest industry on the planet. It is the first industry. It employs over 1 billion people. He's like, it's basically a giant operating system that is never going to stop operating. That's how we survive as a species. Yeah. But the problem is, if you can't stop it, how do you fix it? Yeah. And so his proposition was, what if instead of telling the whole industry to just shut down this or break that or lose money, what if we can help them make more money by actually adjusting the way they operate? I said, well, that would be brilliant. And he's like, well, what if we could do it for pennies? I said, okay, now you're just blowing my mind.
Yeah.
So what he's done is he's been able to essentially, through a proprietary fermentation process, he's been able to extract these basic lactic acid bacteria that are basically the chief fermenters, whether it's milk, yogurt, cheese, whatever you have, right? These bacteria are the ones that convert it and convert the milk. Yes. And now there's many strains of it, obviously. Okay. So he found this is why when Silicon Valley, like every other thing that comes out says we're revolutionary, I'm like, no, see, this is revolutionary.
Yeah.
What you're doing is nice.
Wow.
You know, so if we can bring together these type of companies under one umbrella and then allow talented developers, designers, whatever, to work together on the same vision, those people, these products are going to inspire them to create better things too. So when they say like what I do, I create. I am a creator. I use whatever tools I have, whether it's writing or music or whatever I can get my hands on to create. So I think if we can together, we can inspire people through your podcast or whatever channels we have to say, figure out who you are, not what you do. Who are you? If you know who you are, everything else will start to fucking make sense. I do this because it's who I am. I do podcasts not because I like YouTube. I do it because I love connecting with creators. I love inspiring them and also inspiring myself, right? So I think that sets a new standard, and I think this decade could go down as literally the most creative decade in history.
Yeah.
The amount of tools that are available to us, and if we don't do that, if we don't inspire others like us, especially younger than us, who are just kind of lost in the, seeing all these pretty tools around them, if we don't give them a little bit of direction, I think we're going to be very embarrassed later on. I want to look back in 10 years and be like, I planted so many fucking seeds that all I have is shade at this point.
Yeah.
So
let's go. So, do some soul searching, as I always say, think about what you want to do, not what your parents or your friends or your grandparents want you to do. It's the same message. Look inside yourself and go deep. And, it's a journey to figure out, even who you are, and even what your passion is, and even, your big visions.
Yes.
But, go inside and, take some time to really take that thinking time. Entrepreneurs say your thinking time is so important. And I try to do that. We're trying to do that with our new company. I'm like, guys, we need to actually set aside time just for thinking. So do these long walks, whether it's with yourself or with a buddy, and you're going in self, or do some massage meditation, or do some cannabis, whatever types of vitamins you like to take to get in your zone, whatever you like. Yeah, exactly. I said that on yesterday's podcast. Don't want to forget about magic mushrooms. It's also great, which in the right setting, look it up. It's already legalizing in some cities in the U.S., which is
really?
great. In Denver it's already decriminalized, and also in Oakland it already is. So that revolution's coming, which goes hand in hand with the most creative decade that's coming in. But this is the new enlightenment. I mean, it already has been since the internet, but the 2020s, oh my God, it's going to be an explosion. And so glad that I ran into you today. It was meant to be. Let's get our big vision caps on, and also to hammer home that point again. Really cool point about just how special it is to be able to live here in Chiang Mai and how cheap it is. Don't just think about these little online businesses. He took a food truck and turned that into $1 million franchise that's successful in Maya, and now it's in Phuket, and I'm sure they're gonna have one in Bangkok. Can you please put one in Bangkok?
I would love to.
Can you please put one in Bangkok?
I just don't want to push the team too fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we've had franchising offers, everything. I just want to take it one step at a time.
Yeah.
But you know what Meraki means?
Tell me the name of it.
It's Greek.
Greek?
Meraki, Meraki.
Okay.
It means to do something with your soul. Put your heart into what you do, right? That's why I chose that. And I think, and with Mirai is Japanese for future. So nature is the future. That's kind of the whole, pitch. And I think now it's like one person could come up with all of these things. But I was influenced by so many people to get here. So I think that use everything around you as an influence. Use people as influence, get inspired, and then go take your mushrooms or go to a Buddhist temple, or go to Chiang Mai, do whatever you got to do to figure out who you are, what makes you tick, because then you're going to meet people like Riley, people like me, and people like many people around you who would inspire you to go even further. But if Riley doesn't know what you're doing, if I don't know what you're doing, if all I see is surface level, that this person just has an online business, which in and of itself, nothing's wrong with it. I know dropshippers who are brilliant at what they do, right? But for every brilliant dropshipper with a vision, there's a billion people who just got told to do dropshipping. You see my point? It's the same in design, the same in development. I'm not picking on any one industry. So stop going with the flow, go against the current, create your own path, create your own river, and hopefully one day that becomes an ocean. And don't do it because you want to be rich or whatever. My dad always said to me, he's like, don't chase money. Money should chase you. You should be so fucking good that you can't be ignored. Ooh. Where people will notice you. You'll be walking down the street and be like, hey, I saw you there, like, or whatever, you know, like, and that inspirational, my philosophy is 90% give, 10% take. Look what Riley's doing, like the amount of stuff you're giving out, the amount of knowledge you're dropping, right? Where a few years ago, that was a whole new industry for you. You didn't think like, oh, I'm going to be this podcast guru, you know, whatever. Like now you're at over 50,000 subscribers, people who are following you, getting inspired every day, and I guarantee you they're telling someone else about it.
Yep.
Right? So it's like create that ripple effect.
Yeah.
And I think if people realize that your job in life is to inspire others, your job is to help others, to serve others. There's all a stigma with the word serve.
Yeah.
They think that means I'm a slave or something. They don't realize that serving is a human thing.
Yeah,
you're happy when you're connecting. Yeah. When you do that, you're going to love everything else you do. People are always going to come and try to give back and reciprocate and inspire you to do something. But when you're just doing this one-way thing where I just want to be rich and be on my yacht or steal from others or just rip people off, at that point, you're just a scammer, you're a piece of shit, and whatever success you have, you'll never be able to enjoy it. Because one day you're going to be sitting on that yacht all alone with people that you pay to be there with you, right? And that's going to be like a life that you didn't expect. You have to kind of go beyond the materialistic level. If you had to say, like, what's your definition of spiritual? That is spiritual to me, that you're doing something beyond material, right? And that could be in any space, whether it's a straw or it's podcasting or whatever. Think what Tim Ferriss is doing. How many people he's inspired with just his mouth, right? He's inspired so many people, including you, right?
Yeah, I'm just a ripple of his, honestly.
And I'm a ripple of 100 other people. So we hope that we've been a ripple to you in some way. And maybe a few years later, we'll be sitting here.
Yeah.
We'll pull up this chair.
Yeah.
And be like, now you're sitting there with us.
Wow. That was an amazing podcast.
I appreciate you.
Hold on. Let's hug it out, bro.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, bro. That was super inspiring.
Welcome back, man.
Links below. Oh my God. Like, seriously though, let's have a yacht party when your company expands.
Or yours.
I'll organize it. And mine too. You know,
both of us, 2 yachts.
You shall not be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling.
Shout out to the links. mirai.am is Mirai. Okay. Meraki.vc for Meraki Ventures. Perfect. If you want to find me on Webflow, it's webflow.com/SARKIS. And you can find me on Twitter as well. Sarkis Buniatyan on Twitter and Instagram.
Boom!
Yeah. I appreciate
Sako,
it.
baby. Woo! Crushing it.
Have a great year.
Let's go.
Living that life. We just living that life. Talking flies, living that life. We just living that life. You're listening to the Living That Life Digital Nomad Podcast. Hit the subscribe button on iTunes if you're a boss. And check out the YouTube channel for dope travel videos.